Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Angel, and if you're new here, all I do is talk about books. And for today's video, we are going to be diving into some of the spiciest books I've ever read. So let's just get started. I want to kick this video off strong. So I have like a huge pile of books, and we're just gonna go through them. So the first book is King of Wrath by Anna Huang. This is the first book of the King of Sin series that Anna Huang is now starting to write. But King of Wrath is about Vivian and Dante. They are in this arranged marriage, and they don't vibe. Okay, like it wasn't like a good first impression. Dante is not a people person. He hates talking, and so he literally just sits there and glares. And Vivian is a people pleaser, so she would do anything to get people to like her or make them happy, you know? And so there's that grumpy sunshine dynamic between them. And then you start to see Dante like slowly start opening up, and then he questions like, oh my god, like no, I'm supposed to hate her, like I'm not supposed to fall in love with her. But anyway, King of Wrath has that betrayal trope where it's just that falling out, and Dante needs to figure out a way to get Vivian back, and you get to see like a whole different side of Dante. He's like ruthless throughout the whole book, and then towards the end he's like such a softie. So I definitely recommend King of Wrath because the spice seasons are super good. But when I say arranged marriage, they did not talk to one another for like the first 2 weeks of their marriage, and he literally just left her his Amex card on her nightstand with her engagement ring. So they really did not like each other, but when their attraction for one another started surfacing, there's this really spicy scene, and it involves the backseat of a limo. Okay, and so they're like getting it on, and he turns her around and basically like shoves her face into the seat, and he basically tells her to clean up her mess. And I was just not expecting that, because Vivian is very proper. The whole book follows her and how she loves her parents so much that she literally puts their feelings before hers. So just see her do that, I was very shocked, and I'm not mad about it because it was a good scene. I definitely would rate this book's spiciness a good 3 out of 5. And on the topic of Anna Huang, the next spiciest book I've read is Twisted Games. I know that people will definitely argue about this because I think Anna Huang herself said that Twisted Hate was the most spiciest book that she's ever written, but I like to argue that Twisted Games was amazing. It was so good. It was everything that you kind of needed. Twisted Games is about Bridget and Reese. Reese is Bridget's bodyguard because Bridget is a princess. And so we go through this journey of them sort of being enemies to lovers in a way. They kind of got off on the wrong foot because Reese is very antisocial. He is only there to protect her. And then you start seeing their attraction for one another start simmering, and then everything starts becoming forbidden because they can't be together. Bridget needs to marry a royal and not a bodyguard, and so there's that conflict of them not being able to be together, but they love each other so much, so they try to figure everything out. But the spicy scenes, I'll just say one word, okay? Crawl. Crawl. Reese tells Bridget to crawl to him. I can't do that in real life because that's kind of weird, but in a book, I support 100%. For this spicy book rating, definitely a good 4 out of 5 because it was so good. The tension between them, I feel the tension really started in the beginning, and it slowly started building up, and then they just couldn't help it anymore. And the one thing that I really love about this book is that Reese didn't mess up where he needed to earn Bridget's forgiveness. I would say the whole book he truly loved her and did everything for her. So I would just say this book is a really good refresher from all of the betrayal trope books that I've read, and their attraction for one another is not even hidden. Of course it's hidden from other people, but like they're very straightforward about their feelings for one another. So that was also another really good refresher where it wasn't like, oh my god, does he like me? Does he feel the same attraction towards me? The next spiciest book that I've ever read is Priest by Sierra Simone. This is the first book in like the Sinners series, something like that, Priest series, I don't know. But Priest is about Tyler and Poppy. Okay, it's very forbidden. So if you pick this book up, okay, be very open-minded. I picked this book up blind. I felt very unholy after reading this. So, Priest is about Tyler and Poppy. Tyler is a priest. So we all know priests, they can't ever get married. They can't have any relationships. And one day, Tyler is doing confessions. And here walks in a girl on the other side of the wall. And she confesses like the dirtiest like confessions ever. And so he's instantly like turned on by her, just like hearing her voice. And for, I want to say like maybe like a couple weeks, this arrangement continues, and then they see each other for the first time, and he's like so amazed by her. He's like, oh my god, she is so beautiful. I want her so bad, but I can't have her and all that. So there's that internal conflict within him. They get into a very forbidden relationship where they are very intimate. They keep it a secret, okay? They don't want Tyler to get like banished from their small town and make him lose his job, okay? So they keep it a secret for a while. And let's just say the scenes were very crazy, very forbidden, by the way. They are very intimate in the church, a lot, at the altar, on the ground. This spice level was like an ultimate 5 out of 5. It was, I don't know if it's because it's so forbidden that it was just like, oh my god, like I never thought of that, but 5 out of 5. If you've read Priest, please let me know what you think about it, because I literally do not know how I feel about it. It was very crazy. The next book is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This is a duology, so this is the first book in the cat and mouse duet. It is a stalker romance, so don't expect any cute romance, you know, it's stalker. Literally, like, he's watching her outside of her window and, like, completely fell in love with her by seeing one picture of her. So, yeah, that kind of sets up this whole book. But it is a dark, dark, dark romance. So please search up your trigger warnings, like trigger warning everything, okay? If you're gonna read this book, beware. But Haunting Adeline is about Zaid and Adeline. Adeline is like a very successful author, and Zaid owns like a security company. Ironic, right? But Zaid ends up seeing Adeline's like picture for like a book signing at like a bookstore, and he instantly fell in love. But a couple days later, Adeline starts getting like these unknown texts, and obviously they're from Zaid, and they're kind of like threatening and kind of seducing her in a way. But let's just say Adeline is very independent and she's very strong-headed. So she goes clubbing with one of her friends, and she ends up leaving the club with a guy, and she brings him home, and Adeline receives an unknown text from Zaid basically saying like, if you let him touch you, I'm gonna cut off his hands. And so what does she do? She challenged him, and she let the guy touch her, and the next morning, guess what's on her front porch? You guessed it, hands! So let's just say it was really crazy. It was more spicy in like a tension way, how Zaid would describe Adeline in his eyes, and how Adeline would describe like this attraction to Zaid that she does not want. So she's very in denial about her feelings. So it's called the cat and mouse duet because they like to play this like run and catch kind of game where Adeline would be running away from him, and Zaid loves the thrill of like catching her. And so there's this one scene where Zaid tells her that she gets to run. Okay, she gets to run and hide, but if he catches her, he gets to blink her. Yeah. So I'd say this spice level, a 5 out of 5. Very good. Very tension based. The next book is The Zodiac Academy, the 5th book, Cursed Fates, by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. I think I said her last name correctly. But I would like to say that the Zodiac Academy series, it's not super spicy, but when there are spice scenes, it's so good. The tension and everything, because this is the 5th book, and you could see how thick it is. All that tension. They start off enemies to lovers, like literally enemies to lovers. Bully romance. They're at the Zodiac Academy, and I would say it's kind of like a boarding school for like magical kids. But the one scene I would like to talk about is, spoiler alert, if you are starting to read the Zodiac Academy, do not watch this part, okay? Like, skip it unless you don't care. But if you don't plan on reading it, I'll tell you my favorite scene. So, throughout the first 4 books, I'm pretty sure, like, even this book, Tori and Darius, they completely hate each other, okay? They hate each other. There is this thing in, like, this universe where you have, like, a mate. So that's, like, somebody that you are destined to be with. And so we find out that Tori and Darius are mates. And if you deny that bond, then you end up being star-crossed lovers. So literally, you're, like, star-crossed. You can't ever be together anymore, but you'll still pine over each other, if that makes sense. And so Tori and Darius, they end up being mates. And because the bullying and because they're like super enemies, Tori denies the bond. And leading up to that moment, Darius has been trying to prove how much he loves Tori and how much he wants to be with her and how sorry he is for all of the past things that he's done to her. And she obviously is not buying it. So she denies it. And there's a scene in this book where they cannot deny the attraction anymore, and Tori starts regretting her decision. And so Darius comes up with this plan where he can find a loophole to be intimate with Tori. And that involves one of his best friends. Oh yeah, a little background story. That friend had a previous relationship with Tori before like Darius kind of like started falling for her. So it was a really good scene. I would say the spice level of this book, because there are like other spicy scenes between like other couples and stuff, and they were pretty good. So I would say a good 3 out of 5. Only because the books are so big and I can't remember like which scenes are in which books. And that is the end of my spicy book recommendations video. Thank you guys for watching, and please stay tuned for more. Bye!